Now, what's the next step after you've figured out your story or your angle? You figured out how to succinctly pitch your app or your company. Well, the next step is figuring out who to pitch to. And this is a workflow that helps you to do that. Different journalists have different areas of interest. They have various things that they like to cover. And in order to find out what their beat is, you have to look at what they've written in the past. So say if you're creating a coffee app, the best bet to get press is by finding out which journalists have covered this topic in the past. Because if they've written about coffee apps in the past, you're far more likely to get their attention than if you pitch somebody that covered financial tech or fintech, for example. One of the ways of doing this is by simply going to Google and hitting the news tab, searching for either your competitor's name or your niche. And then you can start making a list of who those journalists are. Now, a slightly more sophisticated way of going about this is using a service like BuzzSumo. And this allows you to see not only who the journalists are, but how much interest they got from their stories, as well as a whole load of really useful details. But the main point is not about getting some fancy service. It's about figuring out who has written about your niche or about your competitors, and then getting a name of the journalist, making a spreadsheet of who the journalist was, what is the URL of the story that is in the same niche as yours, and then read up and do a little bit of background research on the journalist. Figure out, what do they tend to write about? What do they care about? What are they interested in? So that will come from their previous posts, their Twitter feed, or their Facebook feed, and start getting a sense of what each journalist is about, because everybody's different and you have way better of a chance targeting a journalist that actually cares about the topic that you're involved in, rather than just blasting every single journalist. Because at the end of the day, when you are pitching journalists, you want to make it personalized. You want to be able to show that, A, you're not wasting their time because you know what they write about, you know what their opinion or their stance on certain things are, and either here is a novel idea, or hey, here's a heads up on what's happening in that area or in that niche, or something that basically is worth writing about. Because these journalists get pitched every single day from morning to evening. And you have to somehow stand out from the giant crowd of self-obsessed founders who all believe that they are a special snowflake and that everything they do is worth an hour of somebody's life to write about it. So really do your homework and you'll have a much higher chance of success.